In this video, we're going to go over the rear hatch panel installation for our 280ZX 2+2 kit. So here we are inside the back of the 2+2, and as you can see, we have most of the panels, the factory panels already removed. We've got the seats that are tipped forward, and this is one of our aluminum panels that covers the inside of the taillights. We already have this in place. We've taken some of our number 12 screws and secured them to the OEM plastic piece that's right here. And we've left this one out because when you put either the factory spare tire cover back on or our aluminum one, you'll need to put the screw in here after you do that. One thing to note though is we popped out the little plastic screw and we put in one of these M6 U-nuts. So that slips on inside this little plastic clip right here. You can see on this one, we have a little bulb seal on this side. This bulb seal comes with the spare tire cover, the aluminum one. So if you are not purchasing our aluminum one and you're using the factory one, you won't need this piece of bulb seal on this side. However, take a look over here and you'll be able to see this tab and the way this is mounted. There's a factory hole back here, and we took this M6 by 50 millimeter machine screw and we slipped it through the back, through the tab on this panel, which you can see here, and then we've slid over one of these rubber bumpers. These rubber bumpers, all the hardware that I'm talking about is included in the kit, and then we've taken an M6 nut, the kep nut, so it's got the little locking knurls on it, and we threaded that in to secure this on there and to tighten it in that position. We've also put another one of the same thing right here on this little tab, and there's going to be two reasons for that. One is to secure the panel, and the other is to secure a 90-degree bracket on there if you're doing the floor. One other thing we've put in is on this little tab right here. This factory hole, we've taken one of these rubber well nuts and we've slid that in there. So that kind of gets us to where we are on this. This is in place. You can see how this is. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the panel and we're going to install this on the driver's side. So we've got those that just popped on there. That worked out pretty smooth. Again, I'm flexing this in a little bit. That noise you hear is the panel rubbing on the threads down here. And so I can bring this in, and when I tighten this in, you can see there's a little teeny gap up here and in the very tight corner. Part of that is it would have taken some pretty expensive custom tooling to actually try to match that exactly. Would have made it pretty cost prohibitive. So we tried to get it as tight of a match as we could without having a crazy price point on that. So now that I've got this in position, we're going to put a number 12 screw there, and then we have a machine screw that's going to go in here, that's going to go into that well nut. When you go to tighten that, you want to make sure that you're pushing all the way against it, because the way the well nuts work is they mushroom on the backside, and in order to keep that well nut from actually pulling out of that hole, you need to have pressure on the front side, and that's how we accomplish that. Then if we were going to be just doing kit one is just this panel and just this panel. You would just put a nut on here and a nut on here and secure those. Then we put the foam back in, and you'll see the studs kind of sticking out. So when you put the foam in, it works pretty well just to slide it in, and this just punctures right into that foam base, and nice and easy. And then we lay the carpet back down. If you're going to do the aluminum deck that we provide, that would be the kit 2. So kit 2 includes this panel, and the full deck. And you can put the deck on the foam. And when I'm talking about the foam, it's this factory piece. And so I'll show you what I mean by this stud here. Even though I haven't secured this, it just gives you a good idea of what I'm talking about. Is that when you put it in like this, you can push it all the way down, just slide it right into the that screw. Doesn't cause a problem. This goes down like so. We can roll the carpet over and we're good. But if we're going to put in the aluminum deck that we have, say you don't want to run the carpet and you want a nice nice powder coated deck back here, we'll put that aluminum deck in. Another option could be is that if you didn't actually have this piece of foam and you wanted some more rigidity, we could put that in for that option as well. But if you're just doing kit one, which is these two panels, you can put this back, you can put on your spare tire cover, the factory one, and close this up. Another option is an add-on option is to add the spare tire cover, which is the aluminum one that we have. And we'll go over the installation of that here in a second, but here's what it looks like. So at this stage, we can add this on and put it over there, or put the factory one in. But for this installation, we are going to put in our aluminum deck and the spare tire cover. So we're going to go with the that installation process next. Okay, so now that we went over all those other options, back to this guy here, whereas if, you know, you saw when I put the foam on, I just slid it into there. But if we're not putting the foam underneath, it does come the kit 2 with the flat plate that the deck plate that we're gonna show you here in a second. Will rest on this because it has some mounts to rest on, but over here it would be kind of floppy if we didn't have something. So we have this guy, so you can have some adjustability in there. Comes with one of these larger fender washers and the M6 conical nut with the little built-in washer on that. And so we'll put this in place. Oops, get it started. Put that in place. I like to just kind of get it finger tight to get a pretty good idea of the height. But the best way to do it is to grab a tape measure and measure the height of these brackets here, and then just have that off the deck match it, and it gets you really close. When you go ahead and tighten these, you want to tighten them until they're snug. But since you're tightening them into those rubber spacers behind it, if you just keep tightening them, it'll compress that rubber more than you want it to. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure that up, get that snug down, as well as put the other nut that I have here over the end of this stud. And then as soon as I get these tightened in, we'll go over laying the aluminum deck in. All right, so here's the main aluminum deck that I was talking about, and you can see that I put some bulb seal on there. I put a little gap in that corner. You don't necessarily need to, so this is going to come as one big piece, and so you can trim where you need to potentially get around the corners with some tin snips. I suppose you could do it with like a cutoff wheel, but it'll get a little melty and burny if you are doing that with the rubber. So we got this piece, I got my bulb seal on here, and this is going to, again, this is pretty rigid, 16th inch aluminum, especially since it's got some supports in there, but it does have some flex to it. And because it has that flex, we're going to use that flex to help us get it installed and make sure it's nice and snug. One of the things that up on this is the front edge toward the seats. It'll sit about a 1/2 inch too high to rest on the lip behind the front seats. So it comes with some of these 1/2 inch aluminum spacers. And so what I like to do is I like to get this into position get it aligned where it needs to be, and then take a little drill bit, you know, center it up in these two holes to drill into that support brace that this is going to rest on. Make sure that you're paying attention because there are some wiring and different things that comes through there. And because you have that 1/2 inch spacer, you don't have to worry about pinching it because you're going to have a 1/2 inch air gap so those wires can still continue through. However, when you're drilling and when you're putting the screw in, you want to make sure that those wires aren't in the way, because otherwise, as you can imagine, that'd be a problem. Number 12 1.5 inch screws that we're going to then use to tighten that down. So once I have this in place, drill those holes. I can drill it with this in place as long as I don't have any wires in my way. And then what I like to do is take these little spacers, since it's so close to the edge and there's room in the front, is just slide them underneath, line them up, and then use my screwdriver and secure it with the stainless steel sheet metal screws that are provided. So here we are, I'm getting ready to put this in. Comes in at an angle. And what I like to do is get this driver's side in, set it right on my little shelf bracket that's right there. Or if you're not using the bracket, you can use the foam. And then I want to make sure again that I don't just shove this down and potentially scratch up my vinyl here. So I will flex this down into position and get this locked in. If I need to adjust a little bit, give it a little flex, push it down, and as you can see, this is sitting here. It's got a little bounce because we don't have those spacers in. I can check this. Okay, those wires are out of my way. If they are, I'm going to pull them out of my way. Now I'm going to be able to mark this, drill a little hole that's smaller than the number 12. A lot of times I'll use 1/8 inch, but you want to make sure that the hole that you drill is smaller than that number 12 screw so you can actually get it tight. So once that's there, I already have the holes drilled in mine. I'm going to take the aluminum spacers. I'm going to slide them in, get them right in there. Do the same thing on the other side. Then I'm going to take the screws, snug that down, and go on to the next step. So we got the deck in there now. We've got these holes, and we haven't actually attached them with anything because this is the same deck that we use in the 2-seater actually. And that brings up a good point that we also have a kit available for the ZX 2-seater. But that, you know, if we needed to, you could drill a couple holes in that bracket and you could attach some screws. This one isn't needed, but if you wanted to run a screw into that 90-degree bracket that you put underneath this to support this, you could. Also, if you were using the foam, you wouldn't need that bracket and this would just sit right on top of it. Another option is if you want the holes to kind of blend and disappear, little plug in these does a good job at just hiding those. Obviously though, if you're running the carpet over the top, that portion of it wouldn't matter because you can see that comes right in, covers up the back, and that takes us to our spare tire cover. And so we'll change the angle on the camera so you can see this side, and we'll go over a couple options with that. So now, as you remember in the beginning when we were putting this on, we put the U-clip behind here, and that's to secure the spare tire cover. Also, we put a second, if you buy the spare tire cover as an add-on, you can get, comes with another U-clip that you'll pop in up here. So you can, put this back in with your factory spare tire cover, which is this guy right here. And so, you know, we would actually, if we were putting this one on, retaining this one, I'd actually put this in before I put this on, because this will actually ride on top of this lip and you would just secure it as you normally would. But for ours, we're going to use our aluminum one. And so we'll work on getting this slid back into position here and show you how to secure that. Okay, so this is the aluminum spare tire cover add-on. You can have this just with kit one. So remember, kit one is the taillight panel cover and the driver's side panel. So you can just get those, which is kit one, and then add on the spare tire cover. Or you can get to kit two, and as a reminder, kit two is the taillight panel cover, the driver's side, and the main aluminum deck here. And so then you can do this. We put the deck in before this because we were showing it in sequence if you bought kit one and then if you added on kit two. But if you buy kit one or if you buy kit two, which has all three pieces, and add this on, just to point out, it is easier to put this in place before you put the floor in. And what we did is we were able to angle that and pop that in, but it is easier to do it so with this out. So I mean, I can take this panel in and out without removing anything else. You just have to kind of pop it in at an angle. So remember, we've got our M6 U-clip up here and the other one back here, and we provide some M6 black machine screws with the washers already on them. And so what we're going to end up doing is pushing this into place, lining this up with our J-clip. We'll just get that put into place nice and lightly. We're going to do the same thing over here with this U-clip, and that's going to secure this back end of the spare tire cover as well as this into place. Again, on this side, we did the best that we could without really expensive custom tooling to try to match these angles and these lines and tuck it in. You'll have a little bit of a gap there, but you could always massage that in a little bit if you decided to. But once it's all in, especially like in ours, once we get it done, it's going to be all black, and so any shadows or things that you see like that are going to go away. So nice clean light option for the back of this. We're able to get rid of a lot of our busted up and not great condition plastic. This set here is obviously raw aluminum. They're also available in black powder coat. You can leave it just as is, or you can cover this with the carpet. As we went over in the video, there's a couple different options of what you can buy. Kit one, kit two. You can add the spare tire cover to kit one or kit two. We're also going to have that in the description on the website, so you can see what that is, so you don't have to remember from the video, but you'll be able to read it in the website description. I'm also just going to lean in here real quick, close up the seats so you can kind of see it all done. Obviously our carpet in here is stained and gross, but this car is not yet functional and running yet, so we're gonna keep working on the car. But we got the paneling in, and also pull this out of the way one more time so you can see it as if it was just all the metal pieces and you didn't have the carpet in. These are available from Skillard.com, and if you have any questions, please email us at sales@skillard.com.